Good morning and welcome to this video from Yoker Evangelical Church. Today it's Tuesday the 7th of July and this morning in our Bible reading plan we read Joshua chapter 9 and Psalms 140 and 141. And this morning I want to talk quickly about the benefits of a godly telling off from Psalm 141. Now it's true, isn't it, that we all need a telling off sometimes. We know this when it comes to children. We know that the child who never gets told off is much worse off than the child that gets told off when they need it. And it was good in our Sunday morning service to see Jesus giving the disciples a helpful telling off. He was loving them by doing that. He was correcting them. And so we see actually a telling off is a good thing for a Christian to get sometimes. And in this Psalm 141, David sings about just that. Listen to what he says in verse 5. He sings, "Let a righteous man strike me, that is a kindness. Let him rebuke me, that is oil on my head." When David talks about a telling off here, a rebuke, at being struck, he doesn't sing about it in a negative way. In fact, he says that is kindness. It's good to note here that it is a righteous man that is doing this for him. This is not to celebrate every single telling off, but to say when it comes from a righteous man, it is a good thing. Somebody that is close to God, and so somebody that gives this, caring deeply about you. That's exactly what we saw with Jesus on Sunday. The perfect righteous man giving the perfect rebuke to his followers. And look how David talks about it, that it is a kindness. He doesn't see a telling off as something to be endured or ignored, but something to be received well, almost to be enjoyed. When it is done in love, it is done for our good. A telling off sets us back on the right path, and it is something that we should learn to love. Now that's very difficult though. Telling off hurts our pride, and so we don't like them very much. If somebody tries to do it in church, we see that as very hurtful. Actually, I want to suggest from this psalm that we need space for that in church. Among a loving body of believers, there should be room to lovingly say to each other, "Brother or sister, I think what you're doing is unhelpful. Let's talk about it." That is what a loving rebuke looks like. Godly correction will be for our good. And it's actually what Jesus does all the time for us through his word. As we read the Bible, as we pray about it, it should be correcting us. We should be reading the Bible and seeing the ways in which we fall short of God's standards, the ways in which God would have us live a more holy life. That rebuke is good for us because it draws us closer to Jesus all the time. As we continue in our Christian life and as we grow together as a church fellowship, there has to be room for godly tellings off. And that will hurt us sometimes. But we need to learn to have hearts that are humble enough to accept them, that we can say with David, "Let a righteous man strike me. That is a kindness. Let him rebuke me. That is oil on my head." But before we learn to accept a rebuke from another believer, we have to be rebuked by Jesus. We have to come to his word and to face up to the ways in which we are not perfect disciples. Because it's only by doing that that we will grow in godliness, grow in a love for him. I am so thankful that the Bible does correct us. I am so grateful for the men and women in my life who have corrected me, who in my Christian life have taken the time to lovingly rebuke things that I have been doing for my benefit. It has truly been a blessing. It hurt at the time, but now looking back on it, I can see that it was loving. It has been a blessing. So I want to commend to you from these verses in Psalm 141 the benefits of a godly telling off, we should be ready to receive them because they are for our good. I hope you have a good day and God bless.